It is Black Friday. Is it wearables? I don't know. I don't even know anything, the first thing about wearables, which one to get. If you've got any questions about which one to get for a family member, for a friend or whatever, Jess Kelly will be up a little bit later on to tell us about that. Here's what else is coming up on the show today. Premier League football, it is back. The club action on the scene with Spurs against Chelsea, the game of the weekend. Daniel Harris will join us in about 15 minutes' time. The Tide 5, as you can see, Neil Treacy is with us in studio. The Tide 5 making its comeback this week. We're going to get stuck in to the Ireland scrum. Talk about Joe Schmidt's future as well. Talk a little bit about the Ireland team name for the USA tomorrow, and talk about England against Australia. Who is the third best team in World Rugby at the moment? We'll ask Neil that a little bit later on. The breakfast menu is coming up later than usual at 8:45. And as I say, it's technology at 9:05. It's Jess Kelly going to join us in studio. Before all that, it's time for the back pages.
OTB AM.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie. Championing the trade with a dedicated call centre.
We'll start with the Irish Independent this morning, and with pretty much all the newspapers today, they're either leading with Stephen Kenny or Mick McCarthy coming in as Ireland boss, or they're leading with Joe Schmidt. For the Irish Independent, it's McCarthy odds on, but Kenny in the hunt. Klinsmann joining the list of outsiders to replace O'Neill. You've also got Catstar Fennelly hits back over Wild Geese complaining, and emotional Schmidt says he has not yet made up his mind on his future. I think he's going to make up his mind for sure this weekend, says Rory O'Connor. That sub-headline on Dan MacDonald's story on the back of the Irish Independent is something that just leaps off the page, and it's been reported elsewhere as well this morning that Klinsmann, Jurgen Klinsmann, has joined the list of outsiders to be a potential Ireland manager. Now, I know I'm supporting...
I think everyone at this stage is an outsider.
Well, it's true.
Like, it's looking fairly certain, would you think?
Fairly certain. It does seem that
there'd have to be a fairly big hiccup, I would say, in negotiations.
There would have to be. It does seem though that Stephen Kenny, I wouldn't call Stephen Kenny an outsider. Like, as we can see, I'll actually just show the front page of the Irish Examiner sports section. Preparing for the handover, FAI chiefs to meet McCarthy and Kenny over the weekend. So it had been suggested yesterday that Mick McCarthy was going to be the man who was appointed, but it seems that Stephen Kenny is going to get a fair crack of the whip. The one thing I don't understand is, what's the big hurry here? Well, we know why the big hurry is. It's because they want somebody in tow for Sunday week.
They want to have someone to be paraded around for Sunday week, when the draw is made and when all the UEFA delegates are in Dublin, isn't it?
Yeah, but for the sake of optics, should they not just chill out for a little bit, just try and figure out what is the best for the FAI here, what is the best for the future of Ireland football? And that means getting your head coach and your full ticket in place and being completely satisfied with that, and also completely satisfied with whoever the under-21 manager is. This is our tweet yesterday. It's believed negotiations between Mick McCarthy and the FAI over the vacant Republic of Ireland manager's job could successfully conclude over the weekend. McCarthy is in line to assume the position for a second time. What do you think of the Mick McCarthy appointment, if it does come out to be true?
I absolutely love Mick McCarthy. I'm just not 100% certain, is this the right time? I think maybe even just a year or so ago, when everyone was thinking, was Martin O'Neill going to go after the playoff defeat to Denmark? Then at that time I was kind of thinking, you know what, Mick McCarthy would be great. But as the year has gone on, you'd really just love to see the playbook torn up. Let's just go for someone like Stephen Kenny. You know, it could turn out to be a complete disaster, but at the same time, just take the chance on it. And, I think it's the right time when, there's a squad of players coming in. Like, it's a real transitional phase, as it is for Ireland. You may as well give someone the opportunity to come in and try it out with, an inexperienced group of players, and, let everyone start from the bottom together.
Yeah, there were 125 replies to that tweet, varying opinions on Mick McCarthy. Killian Ginnity agrees with you. He says, why Mick McCarthy? Why go backwards? Stephen Kenny is the one with the potential, and the same people who are criticising his lack of experience at a top level would take Michael O'Neill without question, even though he had less experience at the same level. #Coybig. It's true what he says. I would be of the opinion that if you're going to go for Mick McCarthy, you may as well try and get Jurgen Klinsmann. Like, as outlandish as that is, it's a short-term fix, and at least we get the excitement and the glamour.
I think it's it's probably a short-term appointment, and it's no disrespect to Mick McCarthy, I think, but...
Well, I've just compared him to Jurgen Klinsmann, so it's the biggest compliment you could possibly give.
I just would love to see them kind of just go outside the box and just give it a lash. Like, Stephen Kenny, I don't think at this stage there is an enormous amount of it. Obviously, they're just hell-bent. They have to qualify for Euro 2020. Having a few games in Dublin, it would just be a complete disaster, I think, FAI wise, if they weren't there at the party themselves. And I think that's probably why they're they're hell-bent on getting someone with more experience, maybe.
Yeah, the thing is, Stephen Kenny has been on record with the Dundalk Democrat this week saying that if he had the option of managing Real Madrid or Barcelona or Ireland, he'd pick Ireland because as an Irishman, that's his dream.
And you love to see a quote like that.
He's not exactly playing hard to get here.
Exactly, yeah.
He's putting his cards on the table, very much so, and I just think the FAI, fair enough if the FAI interview him and think, this is not the right appointment for us at this moment. I would respectfully disagree with that, even though I wouldn't be privy to those negotiations, but at least give him a fair crack of the whip. At least just sit down with him and talk to him about his plans, not just for the next 2 years in terms of getting us to Euro 2020, which I'm sure will be part of his thought process in terms of his success plan, but also his plans beyond that. How are we going to qualify for Qatar? How are we going to qualify for Canada, USA, Mexico? Talk to us about that. And I would say he's the man for the next 8 years to try and look into a plan like that.
Yeah, and I think what maybe some people are probably a little bit uneasy about is just how quickly they probably have jumped in on this, let's speak to Mick McCarthy straight away. It's been less than 48 hours now that Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane were gone, and it looks like we're pretty close to having a new manager named. As you said earlier, why the rush? We know what the rush is because they wanted for Sunday week when the UEFA delegates come to town, but, take a couple of weeks. We're not even talking take a few months and, stall things out. Take 2 weeks to think through your options.
Yeah, the back of the Times this morning is race hotting up for Kelly and McCarthy, says Gary Doyle, while Schmidt will reveal decision on Monday, says the back of the Times Ireland edition. And then the Irish Times leads with Joe Schmidt. It's Jerry Thornley's story saying that all signs suggest Schmidt will leave after World Cup. Thornley's always his compass has always been pretty close to accurate when it comes to either team news or Joe Schmidt stories or things like that. He's obviously, I don't think he's done too many newspaper exclusives recently. The last one I remember is with Jerry Thornley on a Saturday edition of the Irish Times. So to see that headline under his byline to say all signs suggest Schmidt will leave after the World Cup, I'm worried.
Yeah, I think a lot of, even just things like body language and the way he's saying things and the way he's phrasing things, you just kind of get the feeling that he probably is leaning towards the side of leaving after the World Cup. And look, I just think regardless what decision he's making, it is absolutely imperative that he's making it at this time. Because even if he says, you know what, I'm going, you get 12 months to deal with it. Because worst case scenario, the other side of it is that if he was leaving this for a while, all through the Six Nations, every single week, he's probably being asked, Joe, what are you going to do after the World Cup? What are you going to do after the World Cup? Are you going to go back to New Zealand? Are you going to sign a new contract? At least now for the next year, everyone knows what way, what is going to be happening after the World Cup. There's a succession plan you can put in place, and it just eliminates the question for the next few months.
It's true. In fairness, the RFU have got very good at nipping things in the bud over the last couple of years. When it came to, 2015-16, when there was tons of players being linked with moves abroad at the time, they've kind of got the hang of quelling those stories immediately and getting them to put pen to paper straight away and not letting these things get out of hand.
And if they're not signing a contract, put it out there straight away. Yeah, deal with it early. So yeah, they're doing quite well in that. The Mirror today, I don't know, can we look at it's dealing with both Mick McCarthy and Joe Schmidt coming and going. Talks planned with Big Mick soon as FAI aim for quick appointment, and family discussion for Schmidt will determine where his future lies after Japan World Cup. Another newspaper at the moment is the Irish Daily Star this morning. Martin O'Neill, ex-boss fury at Doherty as Horan adds to criticism of old regime. That comes as Martin O'Neill seems to be pretty unhappy with the quotes Matt Doherty gave about the training methods of Martin O'Neill over the last couple of years that Doherty would have seen anyway in the last few months in particular. And also Conor Horan has kind of backed up on it, saying that, O'Neill, when he came in at the start, he probably had all these experienced players who didn't need the detailed training and the tactical stuff that maybe the younger lads need now when they're not as used to each other,
Yeah, Conor Horan speaking on the Keith Andrews show yesterday. You can watch that back on youtube.com/offtheball.
Also as well, it's all yours, Mick, is the back page headline on the Irish Daily Mail. McCarthy on the brink of return as FAI begin to prepare to begin talks. So this seems to be the story that most papers have. And also, Schmidt, I'm in turmoil over my Ireland future. Joe Schmidt admits he's agonising over whether to stay on as Ireland head coach and wants to take a deep breath before announcing his plans early next week. So I think regardless of what happens over the weekend in the USA game, it's an afterthought a little bit at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, completely it is. The idea, though, of this USA game being a dead rubber or being kind of closer to what people would like to say is an unimportant international test match. I just don't think that pertains to any sort of level of truth at the moment, because every time you watch this Ireland team, particularly when it comes to the second string team, or the B team, if you want to say that, it's actually a completely different level of intrigue. You want to see ordinarily, say, like, I know he's not starting tomorrow, but the likes of Ross Byrne, how would he do when he came on? If he gets his first full cap for Ireland, that'll be an intriguing game. All those different possibilities that the Ireland team brings just means that every single international test match at the moment is an important one.
A year out from a World Cup, it doesn't really matter what the opponent is. I don't think, like, every game has some level of intrigue in it, and there are things you want to learn about. Like, it doesn't even have to be about the scoreline itself or who scores the tries. It's just, maybe it's about, like, seeing how a 10-12 combination works, or a 12-13 combination. See how someone does, like, see how Will Addison does it full back this week, having done so well in the centre in his first couple of games for Ireland. Having another look at Tadhg Byrne, who's missed out on the bigger games despite playing unbelievable for Munster. Just seeing how he develops again in a green shirt. Also seeing your backup guys in the front. We know how good Tadhg Furlong is, but how much have we seen of someone like Andrew Porter in the front row? Bear in mind, as we've often said last year when we were talking about him, he only transitioned to a tight head 2 years ago. He was playing loose head up until after under-21 rugby. So, like, a year out from a World Cup, there are so many different things to look at in a match, as opposed to just, are we going to win it? And, maybe last week against the All Blacks, it was absolutely about winning it, because we knew everything we needed to know about, Gary Ringrose and Bundy Aki. We knew everything we needed to know about Johnny Sexton. Maybe someone like Kieran Marmion we were trying to actually see a bit more about. But by and large, it really just was about getting the result. Whereas a game like this, a game you're expected to win, you just want to see how the combinations work, tinker around with the side a little bit, and, give inexperienced lads a go. Like Sam Arnold's on the bench tomorrow. Ross Byrne I'd like to see Ross Byrne come on and get maybe 20-30 minutes tomorrow. I would have liked him to start tomorrow, just to see that little bit more about him. I know
Carberry still needs time at 10 in the green shirt.
Yeah, but he's going to get play. He's had a nice little chunk of it so far in the autumn. He's probably going to see more in the Six Nations off the bench as well, and he's going to see a load of it for Munster this year as well. So I'd just like to see Ross Byrne, just see how he handles, controlling a game for that first half an hour of a match. I think is very important. We
will get into more detail on that in the Type 5 a little bit later on. Just one last thing, because I think we haven't had you in studio this week. Who is your second choice number 9 at the moment?
Second choice number 9. I think you'd have to say Marmion after the way he played at the weekend. I think this is a massive chance for John Cooney. Yeah. Given Kieran Marmion's going to be injured now, and he's going to be out of the shop window until potentially the start of the Six Nations. If John Cooney can play very well this weekend, and if he can carry on that form with Ulster as well, I think he can put Marmion under an enormous amount of pressure. And Luke McGrath's alongside there, the three of them are so close together, and they offer so many different things as well. I think a good performance from John Cooney, he could start putting a lot of pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got a couple of more of the papers?
Yeah, Waiting Game is the headline on the Irish Sun this morning, and it's just pretty much Schmidt and Mick McCarthy is the way most papers are going today. FAI set to meet Mick at the weekend, and Joe will reveal all after US clash. And also as well on the back page of The Guardian, it's focusing on Spurs. We need patience. Pochettino hints further stadium delays are possible. So that is Tottenham Hotspur's new stadium, which they'd hoped to move into at the middle of September. It's now looking likely to be some stage in the middle of January, but who knows at this stage when they're actually going to get into that ground.
You're back. As you can see, the breakfast menu is up. We've got Mondaphone, Tiger Phil, Money Shot, GA Priorities, Bomber, and Ever Apology. Let's start with Mondaphone. Martin O'Neill basically picked up the phone to Matt Doherty after his interview on 2FM a couple of nights ago, and wasn't too pleased with what he had to say about his time at charge. Is this petty or is this understandable?
I could see why he'd be annoyed that, there is the sanctity of the dressing room and all that, and maybe Matt Doherty might have broken it. At the same time, I could 100% see why Matt Doherty was more than happy to speak about it, because you could see how frustrated he's been for the last while. He mentioned there before he got his full debut, the whole face doesn't fit thing. He clearly seems like a guy that if he has something on his mind, he's more than willing to say it. And as someone who works in the media, I would not discourage him from doing that at all. There are scarce enough professional sports people out there who are willing to kind of speak their mind, and who aren't willing And as well, who aren't just being controversial for the sake of controversial, but are willing to be honest about stuff, and I wouldn't discourage that whatsoever. I probably would see maybe a little bit why Martin O'Neill was annoyed by it. You know, he had essentially just lost his job, and now he's seen one of the players that he gave a cap to recently come out and criticise him. Rightfully or wrongfully, that's up for yourself to decide. But I could probably see why he'd be a bit annoyed about it.
Yeah, so
he'd be annoyed in general.
Yeah, he probably is. He was probably just on a path of destruction. It's like,
and then you see this, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's like, do I send this angry? It's like on Twitter, do I send this angry tweet? Do I not? Do I cool down for a while? And
end up sending it.
O'Neill picked up the phone and rang him. So Tiger versus Phil tonight. Are you going to watch it?
No.
Well, what about this? Once you see this image, you're going to watch it. It's like an image from Breaking Bad after Walter White has made all that money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw this last night.
Here we go. It is Phil, again, being the absolute dad that he is, trying to look cool here with loads of wads of cash, pouting and doing that thing with his hands.
I want to see this, like,
can't do.
I want to see this stacked just like at the back of the green on the 18th. Although, actually, with the way these two guys are playing, this match is not going to the 18th.
Real. All right. Well, the fear of missing out that you're experiencing right now, it's real.
Yeah, Neil.
Phil has told me. Oh my God, I need to pay for this.
Did you know that FOMO stands for fear of missing out? Well, Phil Mickelson surely does. Here's Tiger with his big what I got. Tiger looks like you never know if Tiger's smiling for the sake of smiling or if he genuinely looks happy. Like that's the first time I've seen warmth in Tiger's eyes with that big stack of money. This is just like right up their alley. I'm actually really looking forward to this, not for the golf, which should be the most important thing, but for the coverage, for the on-course banter.
I don't want to go a bit like think of the children and social justice warrior, but isn't like just getting them to pose in front of the big stacks of money a bit vulgar?
It's grotesque, but it's beautifully grotesque. I love it. It's like, at least admit that you guys are extremely wealthy and you care a lot about money. I think you should just front up. I
could get behind this if it was the two best players in the world playing, or two of the best.
If it was Tiger against DJ or Justin Thomas or Jordan Spieth or Rory McIlroy,
yeah,
I'd probably kind of value it more as a competitive thing.
This is a great idea in 2005.
It's true, and I think McIlroy himself has actually come out this week to say, yeah, they're about 15 years too late with this idea. Fair enough.
It's like Pacquiao Mayweather, except even later than it should have been.
Yeah, well, like I am going to watch. It's going to be like watching Michael Scott in The Office, watching Phil Mickelson trying to actually throw some barbs at Tiger Woods. They're going to be so bad, but because of that, they're going to be so good. So I'll definitely be tuning in.
Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, I certainly will. Let's talk GAA priorities, because Colin Fennelly's on the back page of the Irish Independent this morning. Cat star Fennelly hits back over wild geese complaining. So people aren't too happy with the idea of the wild geese tournament, which happened in Australia recently. Colin Fennelly says, who cares? This is our thing. We're giving up our own time. It's our own decision. It was my first time, probably all our first times on the Kilkenny team in Australia. I have cousins and family over there that I barely ever see, so it's absolutely fabulous that the GAA gave us that opportunity. The reason we don't get to go over there is because of hurling, and we want to stay at home and play, but the GAA gave us the opportunity, and it was fantastic. I totally agree with this. Like John Horan.
Yeah, the players are always going to be behind it.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. Like, it's a great thing for the players to be able to go over to like the other side of the world and show off the game that they love playing. You're going to be incredibly proud of yourself and incredibly proud that you're going to be able to wear your county jersey thousands of miles from home, showing off to everyone that this is the game that you play and they might never have seen before.
John Horan this week has said that this pays for itself and the Fenway Classic pays for itself. So there's no real financial downfall to this, and we've seen Michal Braiody of the CPA coming out and giving out about this week. I would say that is a relevant argument to be made once the fixtures are in order, once this thing is actually scuppering things. The fixture calendar is so bad that this actually isn't actually making things worse. Like, these people are voluntarily saying, I want to give up part of my off season. Like, anybody who has a big club game is going to stay at home. Yeah. Anybody who doesn't want to go can stay at home. This is an opportunity for people to go and see a bit of the world, have a bit of crack. The game isn't that important. And I don't see too many negatives with it. I don't think you can say the wild geese is a problem why the GA calendar is totally messed up. I think there are far deeper issues than that. So I think Colin Fennelly is right.
I think some of the frustration as well probably comes down to the coverage it got. Same with the Fenway Classic, that it's, as much as TG Carr do amazing stuff week in, week out for the club game, that, there still is a lot of resources pumped into this when there are big matches at home that probably aren't getting a look in.
Yeah,
and I'd say that's where the frustration lies for a lot of players. Probably just whether or not they are being forgotten, feeling like you're forgotten, is probably an important thing for them.
We've had a big apology. It was, of course, Thanksgiving yesterday, and there was probably the creepiest video that has ever existed in the history of mankind that emerged. It was Patrice Evra sucking the toes of a chicken. He's apologised.
Yo, I made a video yesterday. It went crazy, went wild. It was just for Thanksgiving, you know. Some people find it funny, some people find it weird, some people find it disgusting. You know, we're all different, thanks God. But come on, I'm not a gangster. The real one is like Neil said. You see the way he chop the meat? It's the real deal. Me, I just like cuddle, I just kiss the meat, you know. That's it. And yeah, I went too far when I...
That's very weird.
When I sucked the toes of the chicken. It was a little bit nasty. But come on, now people wish me the salmonella. I know salmon, but apparently salmonella is a girl when she kisses you, you can die straight away or you can have the diarrhea for 10 years. And what about the vegan people, you know? I see vegan people in my garden crawling, eating all the grass, and I ain't say anything. Even sometimes they have the bell like the cow, ting, ting, ting. They eat everything, the flowers, the grass, even the tree now. We need tree. I love this game.
At least he's enjoying himself.
Yeah, at least he's enjoying himself.
Like, as disturbed as I was by the video, I'm not really sure what he's apologising for.
Well, for sucking the toes of a chicken, you've got to apologise for that. It's
yeah, but I mean, like, what he didn't necessarily harm or insult any other people. Like, maybe vegetarians or vegans might have been appalled by it, but that's just down to the fact that it was a dead animal. But, like... I'm not sure why he's apologising for, like, kissing a raw chicken. I'd really love to know, did he get sick at any point?
Is this millennialism gone too far? Have the snowflakes got offended? Is this why he's apologising, Neil? Is that what you're trying to say?
When I saw this the other day, I was just speechless.
But no reason to apologise, you say?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just being weird.
Embrace weirdness.
Exactly.
One last story for you about Owen the Bomber Liston. It's been widely reported this morning, actually. There had been some circulation of this story via WhatsApp earlier in the week. So last weekend, on the way back, boys were messing with Bomber Liston. So there was a stag party, I think. Was it David Moran? No, there wasn't a stag party. I don't know what it was. One of the lads from Kerry, anyway, were on a stag party, and Bomber Liston was there anyway. They're on the way back. They were messing with Bomber, calling his name and looking away. Bomber, Bomber, Bomber. Plane was turned around and police waiting on the runway. Bomber had to Google himself via some connection and cockpit to prove his alias, and Bomber flew home in the cockpit, which is absolutely hilarious. That is, like, I do wonder were the lads trying to bait the airport staff? I don't know. So the Indo story has gone up, and Bomber Liston was glad to say it came to nothing.